It's going down. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And I just wanted to present an article to you real quick. In this article, the so-called Israelis were accused of killing a journalist from Al Jazeera, who go by the name of SHIREEN Abu AKLEH. So here it says blatant murderer or blatant murder. And let me tell you something. Anybody who is a descendant of Esau naturally is a murderer, because, well, Yahweh Shai said it best. Let me just get that real quick. Yahweh Shai said it best. You know, he said it best about this the so-called white man. You know, because going back to the Garden of Eden, Cain, who is known as that wicked one, you know, which goes to show you that Cain was born to be wicked, but Abel was born to be righteous. Cain, who is known as that wicked one, you know, was the first one to ever be known to commit murder on this planet. The first murder ever recorded on this planet was when Cain took the life of Abel. So here in the book of John, chapter 8, verse 44, it says, "Ye are of your father the devil." Now, these are the words of Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly called Jesus. And he, right here, he's talking to Israelites, so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. Okay? But he's especially talking to the Southern Kingdom, since the Southern Kingdom predominantly were the ones living in the land of Israel at the time. So, our people, being as wicked as they were, Yahweh Shai said these exact words to our people during that time. Now, don't get me wrong, you still had some of the northern, kingdom living over there in the land of Israel with the southern kingdom, but predominantly it was the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, that was living in the land of Israel when Yahweh Shai made this statement. It says, Yahweh Shai said this, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do." Okay, from the book of John chapter 8 verse 44. He was a murderer from the beginning. Now, when you look up the word Genesis, the word Genesis literally means beginning. Okay? And there was two times of accounts when Cain tried to murder his brother. The first time was in the Garden of Eden. The second time was when he came back in a reincarnation as Esau. Because after Esau lost his blessing and his birthright to Jacob, after Esau was supplanted of his birthright and his blessing by his brother Jacob, Esau basically said within himself, he said in his mind that the days of his father was at hand, then would he murder his brother Jacob. So Cain tried to commit murder 2 times in the book of Genesis. And if you really want to be technical, the serpent in the Garden of Eden, who was really, a slithery, subtle man who was of that wicked seed, he also committed murder. He committed spiritual murder. And let me tell you why. Because he deceived Eve and caused her to deceive her husband. Because before Adam and Eve was deceived into learning of the wicked knowledge of evil, learning of the evil philosophies, right? They was immortal, They was immortal. Because they knew not evil. But when this man who was of that wicked seed, when he came along and he decided to deceive Eve and then caused her to deceive her husband, he technically he committed spiritual murder, man. Because it was from that day that Adam and Eve fell from grace. They was no longer immortal, and basically, every time they came back in a reincarnation, they would be mortal. They would grow old and die. Inevitably, this what happened. So, the so-called white man, he was a murderer from the beginning. Now, when the so-called white man was on his planet as Cain, he actually had brown skin and woolly hair. And that curse that the Lord put upon Cain was leprosy. So that way Cain would have a indistinguishable mark upon him. That way anybody who will find him would take vengeance on him sevenfold. So Cain would die a excruciating, painful, and terrifying death, and if anybody should find him. But this man died not having paid for his crimes. So the Lord got his ass when he came back in the reincarnation as Esau. And the Lord punished Cain when he came back in the reincarnation as Esau by setting it up to where he would lose his blessing and his birthright to Jacob. Jacob, who was Abel in the reincarnation. So for the very beginning in the book of Genesis, the devil, who is the so-called white man, he will be known as a murderer from the beginning. It says, and abode not in the truth. Right. And the matter of fact, did not Cain lie to the Lord? He lied straight to the Lord. When the Lord asked Cain, where is Abel thy brother? He said, I know not. That's what he said. He said, Cain said, is he his brother's keeper? But to show you, to show you that the Lord is on a totally different level, man. The Lord already knew what had happened to Abel. Because when somebody dies, their spirit goes right back to the spirit world where they stand before the judgment seat of the Lord, man. Basically you stand before the Lord, you get your judgment on ultimately what's going to happen to you in your next reincarnation. And then after 300, 400 years, you're reincarnated back on the planet. So the Lord had already knew what happened to Abel, but the Lord wanted to see what Cain's response would be. So Cain was not only a murderer, he was also a liar too, man. because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Yeah, man, this man is a fucking liar and he's the father of it. Okay? So let's come back over here. Blatant murder. And these people in the land of Israel calling themselves Jewish, and they're not. They're not Jewish. They are descendants of Amalek. Now, when you do your research on Amalek, Amalek is one of the descendants of Esau. He comes from the line of Esau. So these people living over there in the land of Israel, telling the whole world that they're Jewish, they're not Jewish. They are descendants of Amalek, which would make them descendants of Esau. And we know that Esau was a Cain in a reincarnation. And what was Cain known for? Being a murderer and a liar. So Al Jazeera accuses Israel, the so-called Israelis, of murdering journalist SHIREEN Abu Akleh. We pledge to prosecute the perpetrators legally, no matter how hard they try to cover up their crime, and bring them to justice. Well, how are you going to bring the murderer to justice when the murderer has control over the whole planet? It's not going to happen. The media network said in a statement, the media outlet Al Jazeera accused Israeli forces of deliberately targeting and killing our colleague, of murdering our colleague on Wednesday after Palestinian journalist SHIREEN Abu Akleh was shot in the face while covering a raid on the Jenin refugees camp in the occupied West Bank. So pretty much the whole point of this video, you know, was just to show you, man, this man was a murderer from the beginning, and nothing is ever going to change that. He's going to continue to commit murder until he be taken out of the way, like it tells you in 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. Only now he that now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. With that, I'm going to say shalom, is on to the next one.